Hey everybody, Mobius1 here, bringing you another SWGEmu video. This one is a walkthrough of what I had contestants do for my second ADK giveaway. Alright, so right off the bat, the second ADK giveaway was admittedly a lot more challenging than I expected it to be. I wanted to up the difficulty level slightly from the last one because the last one, when I say the last one, I mean the first one, was over in roughly 40 minutes, and that was like way too quick of an event for what at the time was a 15 million credit item. Now, the price for an ADK on Basilisk has dipped slightly since then. It's down to about 10 to 12 million now, last time I checked. Still, that's a lot of credits to give away to somebody in less than an hour. So the idea was to create sort of a role-play-ish scavenger hunt where participants had to interact with myself on an alt and even another guild member of mine who helped out. His name is Kartalu, by the way. And unfortunately, due to some extremely vague writing and vague hints, and even not being so sure as to exactly what the answers should be in some situations on my part, people ended up getting stuck on steps that I personally was not expecting them to get stuck on. And even the step that I intended people to get stuck on, they were stuck on for a much, much longer period of time than I had intended them to be stuck on. So I ended up sending tells to participants to kind of try to give them additional hints, and even that didn't work. So at one point we ended up just kind of giving everybody a pass on one step. It was a big mess. Now, for those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, I do have a video up that is the complete live stream of everything that went down, and granted, it is a very boring video because most of the video is just this character standing on the porch of this guild hall, because a lot of the action was going on an alt of mine, but I couldn't put that alt on stream because it would have given away a hint to a couple of the steps in the giveaway. So in order to keep it fair, I kind of had to keep the stream as neutral as possible, which makes it a very boring stream. But maybe, I mean, if you're interested in seeing exactly how it went down live, then you can always pull that up and watch it. Okay, so exactly what did participants have to do? Well, at exactly 8:30 p.m., which is when we started the event, I posted a video on my channel saying that the first step would be to stand in front of my character Mobius and send me a tell saying that you were here to pick up a delivery. When a participant did that, I responded to them with a macro. It sent them a tell that said, "You're here for the ADK? Great! I received one from my smuggler friend this morning. Unfortunately, it's still in a sealed container and he hasn't transmitted the code to open it. You'll have to go find him for me. Last I heard from him, he was lurking around somewhere in Tyrina on Corellia. Once you find him, tell him Mobius sent you." Alright, so that's the first step. So, logically, we have to go to Tyrina on Corellia. Okay, so here we are in Tyrina on Corellia. At this point, the participants needed to locate my smuggler alt, whose name they were not really aware of. I realized later on this was probably an issue, and to those that were having difficulty finding him, I did send tells letting them know what character they are looking for. So the participants had to come over to this second kind of separated area of Tyrina. Tyrina is kind of split into two different districts by this bridge. And I had hid my alt, whose name was Arthrales, basically as far away from the starport as you could get, while still being within the city. Alright, so here he is. This is basically all the participants had to go on, and I can tab between the two tunes real quick just to kind of move him around and see what he looked like. He had the Slicer title up, so that was supposed to be kind of the hint that this was the tune. I realized after the fact that he was not a guild member of SWGEmu, while I am, and that probably may have caused a bit of confusion. I know of at least one participant who thought that this character was actually another participant, and what you don't see here is the other guildmate that was helping me, Kartalu, following Arthrales along as he walked, spamming a bunch of drunken emotes. You'll notice that if I were to type something into chat on Arthrales, oops, not hello that, hello there, that he is drunk. So the idea was that both Arthreles and Kettler were two kind of drunken idiots bumbling around through the streets of Tyrena. At this stage, the contestants needed to send Arthreles a tell that said, "Hey, Mobius sent me," because that was the instructions. If I go back and look at the macro, the very last thing that was said to the participant was, "Once you find him, tell him Mobius sent you." So we are kind of waiting for the right message to be sent. And that's kind of how the whole contest works, is go somewhere and send a tell to a person, but it has to be within reason a specific message. So in this case it was, "Hey, Mobius sent me," or "Hey, I'm here to pick something up," or something along those lines. If the contestant did that, my first response was this. And granted, this is kind of long-winded, so here we go. "What? Mobius sent you? Well, that's just great. Alright, I'm just gonna read it. Basically, it's phrased to make it look like he's drunk. You need the codes to unlock the container. I wish I could remember them, though. Oh, hey, wait, you can get them yourself. Just grab me another drink, and I'll tell you where to go. There should still be some at my secret stash. My stash is over that away on some island." So this is where it started to fall apart, because I had planned to use this macro where I would point in the direction of the secret stash. So you can see I'm having Arthreles use this macro to physically point where to go. Unfortunately, people weren't really picking up on that because they're trying to read the tells that were sent to them, and they might not be paying attention to when Arthreles is pointing, and at the same time they've got Cartalu is spamming chat with random bullshit. So right here is where it started to fall apart, which is really, really sad, because this is like the second step of the contest. Basically, I'm gonna go on a little trip and show you guys what I had initially planned and then what actually ended up happening. So if I drive out of the city to the southwest, you can see the beach here, and I'm just going to drive to the other side of this river. So right on the other side of the river here is this little rock on the beach, and this was my initial location for Arthreles' secret stash of alcohol. Basically, if you guys saw my event promoter video, you know that there are treasure chests, like loot boxes, that you can get and place them in the world and place items in the box, and players can only take one item out of the box. That's what I used for this. I stored a little unmarked loot box here, and I filled it with a drink glass that was titled Arthreles' secret alcohol or something like that. I don't remember the name exactly. But the idea was the players had to go and find it. They would take one out of the crate and they had to bring it all the way back to Arthreles, and he would give them the next clue to the mission. I think, looking back, if I had left the stash here and just said, "Hey, it's on the beach over that way somewhere," I think people would have found it a lot easier. Unfortunately, during testing, I found this to be a little too easy, but maybe that's probably just because I had already known it was here, but if I hadn't known about it, it might not have been that easy. Anyway, I got a crazy idea that this was too close to Tyrena, that I needed to put it somewhere further to kind of add some time to the challenge, and that was a mistake. So since the clue said that it was hidden on an island somewhere that-a-way, and I pointed to the south/southwest on the direction from Tyrena, a lot of people assumed that I was talking about Vreni Island down here. Unfortunately, that's not what I was talking about, but a lot of people went to Vreni Island, they drove around the island looking for a secret stash, and a lot of them sent me tells saying, "Hey, is it Vreni Island?" And at that point, I realized, alright, this is getting to be a little bit out of hand. I understand that a lot of people don't use this satellite map mod that I have, and I just started using it, so I'll probably do a video on how to use it, how to install it at some point. It's pretty simple. But without using this mod, it's actually not, I don't think it's possible to see the tiny island that I was talking about, and actually, this is the tiny island way, way down here away from Tyrena. that I was referencing. While that is kind of, I don't want to say unfair to those that aren't using the mod, I tried to feed more details. Like, I was sending tells to the contestants saying, hey, you can see it from the beach. Because, well, I guess you can barely see Vreni Island from the beach out there. So then I realized, all right, well, maybe if you can see Vreni Island from the mainland, I said, you can swim to it. Because I don't think you'd really want to swim that distance. However, you can see this tiny island, and I was emphasizing tiny. It's a tiny island. Vreni Island is not really that tiny compared to one like this. Eventually, I'm pretty confident that most, I think maybe only one contestant didn't get past this step. You'll see if I come out to this island here, there are a bunch of rocks, and the crate is not going to still be here because they have an 8-hour timer. But I believe I placed the crate right behind this rock here. So there's a little crate here with a bunch of alcoholic drinks in it. Players grabbed one, and then it was back to Tyrina. So once you bring the drink back to Arthralis, the participant would have to trade with him, hand him the drink, and he would send another tell that says, man, that hit the spot. Well, oh, the code thingy? Right. I left a note on, well, I remember it was, in an Imperial Vault or something. If you go to this Imperial Outpost on Naboo, you should find where to go from there. So then it says, Arthralis hands you a data pad with the coordinates Naboo, 435, negative 2220. But you'll have to get access from the guard, though. He only lets people in if they say the right passcode. Spast! I can't remember the passcode either, but I know I toof, which is supposed to be took, off my armor as a reminder. Okay, so that was supposed to be, and I say supposed to with a little asterisk, because I realize now that this was so incredibly vague that I'm not surprised people got stuck on this. But that being said, this was supposed to be the monkey wrench in the whole event. This was supposed to be the step that required the participants to kind of think a little bit and come up with the answer. But at the same time, I understand that this was way too vague. That's all I got. Now leave us alone. Cart, pass me another drink. Alright, so the clue is I took off my armor as a reminder. And it totally should have been something different. Like, just hearing it now, I realize it's just such a dumb clue. But basically, the line is a reference to the fact that he had to recolor his armor in this pattern to remind himself of the code, which is a color sequence. And even that, ended up being a mess, because the initial answer to the color sequence was supposed to be white, black, green, blue, red. So top to bottom, left to right, while looking at Arthralis. But even that is kind of not fair, because the shoulders are technically above the chest piece. So even after I gave people the hint that it's top to bottom, left to right, we were getting answers like white, black, blue, green, and then red, because the blue arm is above the green chest piece. This was just a big mess, start to finish. Definitely not going to be doing this again, but that was the idea. I knew when I designed it that it was going to be evil, because even if people, once they got to the outpost, realized, oh, it's the color pattern, then they would have to drive all the way back to Tyrina to get another look at Arthralis to remember what the colors were. It was just poor design on my part, and I apologize for that. This was actually the step that we just decided, alright, after people were stuck on it enough, we'll just let them have access to the building and continue from there. To see what's next, we have to go to Naboo. So, let's go to Naboo. Okay, after a nice long ride through Naboo, all the way to here, in the middle of nowhere, is this medium Naboo house called an Imperial Outpost. Now, this is where Kartalu had an alt standing here as a stormtrooper who would not allow people access until they gave him the right passcode, which is supposed to be the color sequence. But once they got inside, or once we decided to just let people inside, they were added to the entry list of the house, which is set to private, and this is what they found. A large outpost looking, I don't know, like control tower, but on the ground, like a terminal sector for air traffic control sort of thing. Stairs are blocked off. This is blocked off. Now, granted, you could just walk through it, but this is basically representing that there's nothing up there. Everything that you need is right here. Now, at first glance, there may not appear to be anything here, but upon further investigation, you can see that some of these monitors are in fact blocked by backpacks. This one over here says 4 lock 6780 negative 4695. This one says 5 Dantooine 5065 negative 2685. And this one says 6 Rory negative 3015 positive 5725. And last but not least, there's this one here that says, how many times did Mobius say the word definitely in his video titled New Channel Face? If you play on Basilisk, definitely want to check that out, because at the end of that video, I am going to be announcing the date for my next ADK giveaway. So if you play on Basilisk and you'd like to try to win another ADK, definitely check out that video. So the answer is 5 Dantooine 5065 negative 2685. Off to Dantooine we go. Alright. Then way out here to the east, in the middle of nowhere on Dantooine, is the Imperial Vault. Now, this house was set to public, so you didn't need any sort of password to get in, you just needed to know where it was. And it's empty. Except for the rain. There we go. That was weird. So the first room is empty. However, if you come around to the back, you find this. Each of these is called a prison bar. You can see it looks like these were kind of like cut open. And a backpack on the wall that says, upon inspection of the vault, you learn that this isn't a vault at all, but rather a prison. Perhaps whoever was locked up in here is somehow tied to the ADK container, or even knows how to unlock it. Now, we know that Mobius, my main tune on lock, has the ADK container. The problem is unlocking it. Now, this clue was supposed to lead you to think, okay, so whoever was in this prison knows how to open the container, but there doesn't seem to be any hints on what to do next unless you look at this table here. Now this right here is a suspicious alcoholic drink that looks exactly like the alcoholic drink that you had to deliver to Arthreles back on Corellia. This, next to it, is an empty cup with the name K. Kelkendov scratched into it. Now, K. Kelkendov stands for Kartalu. Now, K. Kelkendov stands for Kartar. Now, K. Kelkendov stands for Karta. Now, K. Kelkendov stands for Kartalu. Why is your name so hard to say? K. Kelkendov stands for Kartalu Kelkendov, which is the same tune that was following Arthreles around in Tyrena. So, with these two drinks, you're supposed to put together that Arthreles broke Kartalu out of this prison because he was hired to get the codes out of this vault. But there were no codes, there was just Kartalu. So instead of getting the codes out of the vault, he got Kartalu out of the prison. In other words, Kartalu is the key to unlocking the container. Now, is this a stretch? Yeah, it's a stretch. Is it blatantly obvious? No, it's not blatantly obvious, but that was kind of what I was going for here. I wanted people to do a little bit of, like, creative storytelling style thinking, and unfortunately it didn't go as well as I had hoped. So usually when people got to this part of the story, they started asking me, like, okay, there's nothing here, like, what am I supposed to do? Somebody was, couple people sent me messages saying K. Kelkendov, thinking that was the code, and I basically role-played, like, oh, K. Kelkendov? That sounds like Kartalu Kelkendov, and oh, I think he might be with Arthrales, or something like that, to try to guide people in the right direction, which is to go back to Tyrina. Alright, so I actually logged Arthrales out, but upon returning to Tyrina, both Arthrales and Kartalu were kind of chilling at this little pond here, sitting on benches, kind of just talking. At this point, the participant was supposed to send Kartalu a message being like, basically addressing the connection between him and the ADK container. Whether that's, hey, what were you doing in that vault? Or, hey, do you know anything about the code to unlock the container? Or, hey, how were you involved with all this? Whatever the message was supposed to be, Kartalu kind of fed them lines along, you know, saying something like, oh, yeah, Arthrales busted me out of that vault, and eventually, through a little bit of role-playing here, the participant receives a vial containing some of Kettler's blood. It turns out that the container, the ADK container, is a biological locked container. Not a typical locked container with a password or something that can be sliced open, but rather it needs some sort of DNA verification to unlock. Therefore, by bringing that blood vial back to Mobius, the contestants were able to open the container. So that was it. They brought it back to Mobius here on lock, and we used that, the DNA sample, or the blood vial, to unlock the ADK container. And the first person who did that was Willem. So Willem won himself an ADK. Second place was Ziala. Ziala won 1 million credits. And third place was Bagger. Bagger won 500,000 credits. Quick special thanks out to Arsha, who, God, I hope I'm saying your name right again. I always mispronounce your name. Arsha, who donated the ADK for this particular giveaway. I do have a couple more ADKs that I do want to do giveaways for, but I want to space them out with a couple months in between. So probably around the end of May, beginning of June, mid-June at the latest, we'll do another ADK giveaway. There is also another community tester for the project that's going to be doing an ADK giveaway of her own. I don't know exactly when that's going to be, but I'll be announcing it on my channel at some point. I also want to apologize again to those that participated in this giveaway at the difficulty of it and the vagueness of the hints. If anything, we could chalk it up to a learning experience, so the next one won't be quite as difficult, or will at least have better clues as to what you're supposed to do. So thank you guys for actively testing this giveaway for me, and congratulations again to the winners. To the rest of you, better luck next time, and just stay tuned and you'll have another shot. Thank you guys for watching. Mobius1 here, and I'll see you then. Tyrina's kind of split into two districts, I guess you could call them, by this bridge here that I just flew under. So Arthrales, who's actually right here, whoa, that was a serious rubber band. You guys see that? I just got teleported 250 meters backwards.